So welcome to this final session on AWS Elastic Beanstalk. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. You might hear some background noise, but I hope I'll still be clear. Can you confirm that you can hear me? You can say it in the chat. Today we are looking at AWS Elastic Beanstalk. Let me just jump onto that activity and launch the lab. So it is here, it is under module, this is module what? Module 6 still. So here it is. Am I audible? Okay, so I'll start the lab. Let me just launch it. Then as we get the resources provisioned, maybe I can just explain a bit on what AWS Elastic Beanstalk is. I usually love using this site within Amazon, the aws.amazon.com. I usually give a very good brief overview. So there's the link for those who would want to also check it out there by themselves. So basically what Elastic Beanstalk is, it really helps you to deploy your web applications and ensure that they are scalable, and you also have some flexibility within them without even really thinking about the resources and the underlying resources. But you'll only pay for the resources that you need to run your application. If you need a load balancer, if you need an S3 bucket, if you need an EC2 instance, just depending on that. So always remember that you can still use some of these programming languages on Elastic Beanstalk. So you can use Java, you can use .NET, you can use PHP, Node.js, Python, Ruby, Go, Docker, and even servers, for example, like Apache, Ginx, Passenger, and Internet Information Services. Like this one is a Microsoft, usually by Microsoft most of the time. So basically, Elastic Beanstalk will help you handle things such as deployment, capacity provisioning, load balancing, auto scaling, and even application health monitoring. So always remember that there is no additional charge for you for Elastic Beanstalk as a service in itself, but you will have to pay for the resources that is needed to run your application. So there are those customers, blah, 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 but basically that's it. So again, just like I did yesterday, I'd like you to confirm for me how many of you are running the lab together. We are running the lab. We are going to run the lab together, so that I can know the pace that I can take, and also who I can ask where they've reached with regards to the lab. So kindly, if you're running the lab, you can tell me. Thank you, Victor. As is in creation. Also mine is, as you can see, it is also in creation. Who else? Meshach, thank you. William, good. So I can see we are a good number of us who are going to be doing this lab together. So, okay, good. I think every one of us, which is very good. Abraham, Lydia, who else is not confirmed? I think it's only Rachel. And I think Rachel cannot even hear us. I don't know how she has joined, whether she's going to really hear us, but it's fine. Okay, let's go on. So it's still in creation, but let us look at Elastic Beanstalk features. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we have, these are some of the features, but I wanted to look at the components, and basically how we can start and just look at the resources. Here's some way you can deploy some sample, but you can hear yeah, exactly, documentation. This is where I wanted to be. So you can also share this. Don't know that it is ready. You can also tell me when yours is ready so that we can just get to the nerve of the matter of doing the lab. But always remember that the AWS documentation is one of the most extensive documentations there is. For example, this explains everything. But again, as you always remember that I don't usually come to live sessions to take you through theories. Theories are for you to look at your own time. I think you also have the videos. But always remember that this is usually basically the workflow. You create your application, you upload the one version, you launch the environment, you manage, then you still got into this cycle of deploying newer versions. So I think this one was already said, there's no additional charge. Always remember that there are some concepts you can look at, some of the concepts that are here. For example, these application logical collection, blah, 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 environments, versions, and environment configuration. What some of the things like an application version, for example, you always have to provide the version of your application. You have to get the environment, which is basically the collection of some of the other AWS resources that you've already learned about, which is required to learn to run your application. So you have the environment tier, environment configuration, and all that. Okay, I think mine is ready. So again, always make sure you take advantage of the documentation. So let me take this control down here. So mine is ready. I can close this. I can do AWS. So let me arrange again, as always, lazima kama ibada, you have to do this. Very important. I've given the practical part too much less space. Good. I think that is enough space. I can take it to the end. Still having too much space. Bam, 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 up to that. I think that is enough now. Still, this one needs to be smaller. Always remember, I usually don't close this part first to help me arrange. Then once I arrange, I can now close it. Good. Don't need to get to the new experience. Okay, kindly confirm that you are already in this setup. If you are following it up, kindly confirm. So basically what is this? This activity will help us get an overview where you're going to have an AWS Elastic Beanstalk environment which has been pre-created. And then we'll deploy code to it and observe the AWS resources that make up the Elastic Beanstalk environment. So again, we've already done this part. Task 1. Good, Abraham. And all of us, let us confirm that we are here. Good, Victor, you've already arranged. The rest of us, what about Lydia? What about William? Meshach? Good, William. The rest you can confirm as we move on. So we're going to go to the services menu. which is usually this part. I usually prefer using the search. Then you're going to look at beanstalk. Usually just prefer writing beanstalk and just get that. So I'll launch it. So you're being told that a page titled all environments should open and should show you the table that lists all the details of an existing Elastic Beanstalk application. So if the status of the health column is not green, it has not finished starting yet, wait a few minutes. So can you confirm that it is green for yours? You can type G on your chat. Then we can move on. Good, William, very fast, good. Meshach, yours is done. I think you're talking about the arrangement. Is your status also green? You can also say if you are too lazy to type it, you can just unmute and say mine is green. It's fine. Good. Victor, Abraham, good. So I think a good number of us shows it is there. Awesome. Oh, Meshach, not yet. Is it another color? Maybe you can wait a few minutes and just refresh. You can use this part. Just use this part and refresh and see. Okay. The Elastic Beanstalk environment is ready to host an application. However, it does not yet have any running code. So near the top of the page, choose the URL. The URL ends with the URL ends in elasticbeanstalk.com. So where is the URL? I don't know that any of you have seen. Under the environment name column, choose the name of the environment. So it will be there. At the top, you can see it is here. So I hope you're all here. Notice that the page shows the health of the application is green, good. It doesn't have any running code, you already explained that. Choose the URL. When you choose the URL, a new tab, a browser tab, so you can just click there. Then it will open in a new tab. Then you can see it says HTTP status 404, not found, the requested source is not available. And you can see already it is an Apache Tomcat environment that has been deployed here. So in the next step, you're going to deploy code. So I hope you've got here. You also have gotten to this point. You've gotten to the point where you're seeing the 404, and the URL is basically here. Exactly here. So basically, you should always note that this environment has been pre-created for the purposes of the lab. And you can see that the platform, although I think this platform is part of the lab, it is deprecated, meaning that you cannot use this Tomcat 8.5 with Java 8 running on a 64-bit Amazon Linux. So in your Lana lab, most probably you're not going to be able to create this kind of environment on your Elastic Beanstalk. So, so let us deploy a sample application. So to download a sample application, choose this link. So I'll just copy the link. Okay, it's a zip file, good. Okay, it's already downloaded. Back in the Elastic Beanstalk dashboard, choose upload and deploy. So I don't know, sometimes mine when you so it is appearing here now. Once I've expanded it, upload and deploy, choose a file. So I think I'm going to just upload this. Then you can have the version label. I think I'll just choose deploy. You can see we're being told that it's going to take about a minute or two for Elastic Beanstalk to update the environment and deploy the application. So if you see a warning on the dashboard page that an Insta profile is required to integrate with the AWS X-Ray service, you can ignore the warning. So I think if you're going to get that, you're going to see. Then after the deployment is complete, choose the URL value near the top of the screen. Or if you still have the browser, you're going to refresh this once we have this ready. So I can see our health is still at gray. I don't know whether yours is here. So after the deployment is complete, choose the URL and you're going to see our web application that you deployed displays basically this. We should literally say, congratulations, you have successfully deployed an application in Elastic Beanstalk. Before we get to the other steps, I think it's important that we wait for this step to complete. I don't know how many of yours is also on this part. We can refresh mine also. Okay, so you can see it's green now. Kindly confirm that yours is ready. Kindly confirm that yours is also green. We can refresh also here. Okay, mine is worse. Ah, no, nice. It has basically loaded this part. You can see. Yes, it is here. Okay. Not yet ready. So when you get to this screen, just say why or done if you are able to deploy it. Good, William, yours is done. Who else? Abraham, awesome. Who else? Victor, you're also done, if I'm not wrong. Meshach, did you get somewhere? Meshach, Victor can tell us as we move on. So, since I think I can now still unexpand it like that, then I can go back to this. So we can move. Good, Victor, good. So we can move to step 14. Back in the Elastic Beanstalk console, we check. Mine isn't downloading the file, trying to check what the problem is. Okay, just check your internet. Always make sure your internet is at least top notch, basically when you start doing these labs. Otherwise, you're going to have maybe a difficult time. Okay, so we are at step 14. We need to choose configuration on the left pane. So in this, I think it should be this part. Then you go to configuration. So let's go to configuration. Okay. So for example, in the instances row, it indicates the monitoring interval, EC2 groups, root volume, type details of the Amazon EC2 instances that are hosting the web application. So basically, I can see under the instances, here it is. I can look at the security group. This is the one. The IOPS container default monitoring interval is 5 minutes. Root volume type is container default, size is the container default, and the throughput is the container default. I can also check on some of the other things. For example, I can scroll to the database row. So you can see it doesn't have anything. So I've been told that I need to edit. So not that you could easily add a database to this and to the environment if you want to. You only need to set a few basic configurations and choose apply. However, for the purposes of this activity, you do not need to add the database. So you can see, I can maybe get to a snapshot, and you can see also for this activity, I'm not allowed. So basically this lab does not allow me to do databases, and it is not even required. So in the left panel, I'll choose monitoring. I think it should be this part. So I'll be able to see the different types of charts. Remember yesterday we were able to look at some of the charts on AWS Lambda, such as success, error rate. I was able to look at the invocation. Today we are looking at something such as latency, some requests, CPU utilization over time. For example, like you can see, wow, and this time it's showing me in UTC plus 3 time. You can see it's here. Max network out, some of the different availability available. So you can see right now the CPU utilization is at 4.1%. Some requests, blah, blah, blah. Maybe if I try to click on something like that, I don't know if it's going to really help me. It's a link to the Amazon. And if I refresh, I'm still getting that. Okay, I hope you are here. You've been able to monitor. You can be able to check the time range. You can just change it even to 1 week. And you can see it's going to change. You can say in 1 hour. How does it really look like? In 1 day, just be able to see some of the information available. You can even turn on notification. You can add an alarm that is to be notified when something happens, that sort. So then we have task 3, the final task, explore the AWS resources that support the application. So from the services, I'll choose EC2. So I already know that Apache Tomcat requires an EC2 instance. And you've already seen that in our environment under Elastic Beanstalk, we're able to see that it is running on an Amazon Linux. Although the version and the setup is deprecated, but that is there. So let us see. Now that 2 instances are running, they both contain SAMP in their name. So you can see this one has SAMP, this one has SAMP. If you want to continue exploring the Amazon EC2 service resources that were created, feel free to explore them. You'll find security group with port 80 open. So let's see. You have that IAM role, launch time, security. You can see this is a security group. And you can see that the inbound rule, if I open it up, just make it like that. You already know HTTP runs on port 80. So you can see, you can even edit that if I want to edit it. And you can see that it's port 80. I can decide also to add another rule on HTTPS. What 443? I don't know if it's going to allow me because it's not part of, okay, the CIDR. I think CIDR should be SG 046. I can copy this one. It is this one. Good. Use that. Is there anything else I need to do? Nothing else. Let me save the roles. So you can see you may be missing IAM. Oh yeah, you can see I'm not authorized. So you can see I'm trying to do something that the lab does not allow me to do, but still you can still do that. A load balancer that both instances belong to, you can be able to check on that. An auto scaling group that runs 2 to 6. So you can be able to check all these. So you can see that under load balancers in EC2. You can see that I'll be able to see each load balancer, and you can see this is the load balancer that they belong to. It is already here. And I can see the instances. Let me see. You can see the 2 SAMPs. The 2 EC2 instances are here as part of this load balancer. Monitoring, and just get to the cloud metrics. I can be able to just check how it is really working. When I go back to auto scaling, I can launch the configurations and see. I can see here it is. And if I select it, I just maximize it. So I'm being told that about it that runs 2 to 6, depending on the network load. Remember, I think we had already done something like that. Okay. So you can see that is something that I told you, that even though Elastic Beanstalk pre-created or actually creates the resources on your behalf, you still have direct access to these resources. So that is something that we really note, that is the flexibility on the developer tools that gives, that actually give, that Elastic Beanstalk gives you. So this was quite straightforward, and I think it has been one of the easiest labs, one of the easiest labs to do, because usually that is the essence of Elastic Beanstalk. It should actually make your work very easy. So if you're just a developer and really don't want to care so much about how will you create the instance, creating an instance also has steps, EC2 instance, an S3 bucket, and something of that sort. So that is basically it. Then that is it. Unless maybe, I hope everyone has been able to finish. Have you been able to finish the lab? Have you been able to finish the lab? Kindly confirm. Sorry about the background noise if you are having. Oh, good, Victor, you finished it. William, we also finished it. I don't know whether the others have finished it, but basically also as good practice, also once you're done, You obviously close these, you close your, I think this application is still running, you can see. So once you finish, you basically end the lab. So something to note, within AWS, there's a lot that really can do. There's also some other courses that I can so also remember the Learner Lab was resolved, the Learner Lab issue. So I wanted to access awsacademy.com so that I can show you some of the courses we can explore further. But before I do that, I think for the essence of the live session, I'll stop the live. For those who are going to be doing the lab, all the best. Kindly also try to also do all those labs. Where is in? Okay, good. So let me end this.